And we are live. Let's go back to where we were. I've skipped ahead a bit because it's my personal time and I don't want, this to be an entire book reading, because then there would be no point in you going out and reading it on your own. So where I was last is, yes, okay, found it. We are on Este by Este Lauder, or Lauder, not sure. 2-star bright floral. This is one of the louder fragrances you almost never see on the counter, and for once I can see why. Este is an intense floral with woody notes, a little shrill up top, and dowdy in the background. I have no idea whether the original Bernard Champ composition has been messed with, but I find no great pleasure in smelling it today. Look at Turin. And we have our first viewer. Hi, how are you? I'm just gonna. Next up, we have Eternity. This one is for women. Giving it has been given 3 stars and is a loud rose. I have always felt that Eternity was a copy of something not worth copying. Jardin de Bagatelle. Smelling them together now, I see why Jardin de Bagatelle, though arguably better, was a flop and Eternity a success. They are both unpleasantly squishy and soapy, but at least Eternity does not pretend to be demure. Look at Turin. Eternity for Men. 3-star Mandarin Lavender. An interesting twist on the perennially pleasant citrus lavender accord using the, musically speaking, flattened note of mandarin rather than a straight citrus, or the corresponding sharp of lime. This is a very skillfully composed and likable fragrance, but I wish more cash had been spent on the formula. It smells good but cheap, which would be fine if the overall structure were unpretentious as in cool water, whereas it is distinctly aspirational. Look at Turin. Next up, Etra by Etro, a 3-star milky floral. The year is 1998. What is probably the most remarkable fragrance of the decade, Miyake's Feu Tissé, takes the perfumery world by storm. All rational beings, myself included, predict a huge success for that path-breaking idea. Fast forward, it was a total flop, years ahead of its time and incapable of even generating the expected hordes of toned down, less radical versions of itself. The viewer is gone. Oh well. This is one of the few which came out a year later and makes you hanker after the discontinued real thing. Look at Turin. Euphoria Blossom by Calvin Klein, a 2-star light floral. Supposedly tailored to the Asian market, which likes lighter fragrances, this is a competent pale floral of mind-numbing dullness. Muzak for the nose. Look at Turin. Euphoria Man, 1-star, nondescript. It's about passion that stops at nothing, not even flogging a crap fragrance for real money. Look at Turin. Exclamation by Kuti, a 3-star powdery rose. My junior high smelled like this, as junior highs have perhaps ever after, so I was afraid I'd have trouble being objective through a fog of nostalgia. No trouble. This is a loud, crudely charming, low-budget version of Sophia Groisman's Hallmark, a rose tricked out with the big, sweet, woody smell of violets, ionones, which started out with Paris. Tanya Sanchez. Hello, Fosco. What is up? Hello, Dushan. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Do type in your sense that you were wearing today. For me personally, it was the sample of Malik Al from the Arij Le Doré, just because I'm trying to get rid of the samples. Séville à l'aube. Interesting. Never heard of it, and never smelled it. And Dioromo du Toilette Silver Stem. Heard many great things about it. Though I've only smelled the modern intense version, and I get this weird coldness together with it, with the comforting iris sort of thing. And for me personally, I did not enjoy that version of Diarom, the modern Entente. That one is just like I did like it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as, say, Bellon by Les Abstraits, which I'm not shilling for the brand. I'm not shilling. Eugene has his thing. I'm I'm just saying that Bellon is my personal favorite from it, and does what Diamantos in the modern version does, but better, in my opinion. Okay, and now we are reading Exhale by Parfum d'Empire, a 4-star smoky roots fragrance. My reading of Exhale is that it is a vetiver accord that follows the domino principle. Perfumery notes that agree with each other must have a number in common. This vetiver has been extended in the smoky direction by a dry, light smoky wood that smells like cypriol to me, and in the rooty direction by carroty iris notes. The whole structure has the spare, dark feel of Timbuktu, but less fresh, and the salubrious, antiseptic smoke of Lone Star Memories. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it's great that you share the same opinion. Anyway, where was I, Fosco? There it is. But less Tari. That is in reference to Lone Star Memories, which I have just uttered. It is overlaid on a quiet, slightly animalic musk accord of great refinement. A superlative modern masculine at a time when the world badly needs one. Look at Turin. Next up, Timbuktu is your. See, I'm sounding like a broken record when I'm saying this over and over again. When I say this over and over again, but the L'Artisan train has sailed past me. I have entered the hobby way too late, and I don't care to go back and smell vintage L'Artisan. Like, if modern L'Artisan is meh, that's it. I'm just gonna skip the brand. I am interested in the modern Maître Parfumeur et Gantier because I want to see if the quality has gone down. Dushan or Fosco, have you any experience with the modern Maître Parfumeur et Gantier? Like either the modern bottles of the old catalog or any of their new releases. Like I've seen that they have a release called Ambre Tibet, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of the brand in its current form. Nope and nope. I see. Yeah, I mean, me neither, man. I'm more on the noob side of the deep fragcom, as it were. It's just I'm trying to sample more and more, but it's not me. I mean, sure, maybe if I catch an effluvium stream, or if I don't know, if he magically joins this for some reason, then yeah, I'd ask him. But for now, I'm not sure. Next up, Explore by Ralph Lauren, a 3-star green woody. I have an endless supply of gray skirts, black t-shirts, blue jeans, taupe eyeshadows, and red lipsticks because they're so standard, they inspire a sort of, oh, I need one of those mindlessness in shops. Middle of the road masculines like Explorer, this is by Ralph Lauren and not by Montblanc, are designed on the black t-shirt principle. They hope you won't remember you have 5 just like it. Tanya Sanchez. Extravagance dans la Riche by Givenchy, a 3-star citrus wood. What an odd thing this flanker is, burdened with the name of one of the loudest fragrances in history, and what's more, labeled extravagant. It didn't stand a chance. This is a very nice, quiet, delicate composition, chiefly made up of a waxy tangerine note against a woody background. Now, we have reached Fahrenheit. Do you guys have any guesses as to what Locaterin has rated the 2008 or 2007 version of Dior Fahrenheit out of 5? 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Throw out a number. 2 stars. I'm glad to inform you, Fosco, you are bang on. He gave it 2 stars, calling it a woody leather. Fahrenheit should now be renamed after another temperature scale, maybe Remour or Rancon, because it is, or Rankin, because it is unrecognizable. It used, Duchamp, yeah, it's 2 stars. It used to be a great citrus leather in the manner of Bel-Ami, overlaid with the gassiest, hissiest, most diffusive note of violet leaf in all of perfumery. Acetylenic esters have now been severely restricted. Triple bonds smell wonderful but are chemically reactive. And what's left is a kind of Bel-Ami. Except that Bel-Ami itself has been messed with, and Fahrenheit is arguably better than the modern version. Either way, nothing to celebrate. Look at Turin. Next up, Fahrenheit 32. Anyone want to guess what Locaterin rated this one? The flanker, Fahrenheit 32. I'm pretty sure it came in a white bottle. What did he rate? Fahrenheit 32. 2. Well, you're close. He rated it 4 stars. 4 big stars. From the man himself, Locaterin, calling it a minty vanilla. This fragrance is at once wholly unpretentious and completely successful, striking a wonderful equilibrium between tropical warmth and minty coolness. It has the muted, cozy feeling of a gloomy day somewhere really hot, with that strange, cheerfully doom-laden TV documentary look you get by using a gradient filter that makes the sky looks darker than it should. Look at Turin. Yes, 4, exactly. He gave it 4 stars. And I mean, look, if you multiply 2 by 2, you get 4. So you're close. You just didn't have the factorial up. Anyway, next up, we are in Fairy Tales. So, by Lulu Guinness, a 3-star fruity vanilla. Ooh, I enjoyed that one. A balls to the wall vanilla strawberry candy floss confection that made my kids exclaim gummy bears. So overwhelmingly cute that I think it would only work properly on a Clint Eastwood lone Avenger type chewing cud and asking, "Are you calling sweet punk?" in a hissy voice. Look at Turin. That's funny. That's funny. Next up, Fantasy by Britney Spears. A 2-star toxic vanillic fragrance. In parentheses, I once had a fantasy of meeting Britney at a party, explaining the principles of feminism to her, and watching her thereafter dedicating her life to fighting the scourge of child brides around the world, or something like that. And non sequitur. What the hell? What? 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 Huh? What? Why did you feel the need to, Tanya? What did you? What? Anyway, the review is actually, this is like spraying Glade on a strawberry flavored cotton candy. Liberace would have found the packaging a bit over the top. Tanya Sanchez went over me. Anyway, Farnesiana by Caron, a 1-star floral woody fragrance. I had the good fortune to smell a bit of perfectly preserved vintage Farnesiana from the bottle of a collector friend who let me dip the corner of my silk scarf into it. For the next week, I could smell it, a sweet almond vanilla floral, both powdery and fresh, with a chilly anisic whiteness. Heliotrope and aubepine, mimosa and hawthorn. Mimosa and hawthorn. It was extraordinary because the smell itself felt tender and delicate, but it was also extremely loud. It's as if something that should only be heard quietly were amplified to stadium volume levels. Like when the squeaking of fingers over guitar frets gets the close mic treatment and starts to sound like percussion. A few years ago, Farnesiana transformed into a pastry gourmand, gourmand, all marzipan and custard. Then it transformed again, thinner, rosier, a kind of pale violet with wood glue. Indications are that Richard Fraisse is allowed to do these reformulations in the name of EU restrictions. I don't know what this is, but it's not Farnesiana. Fraisse should smell Parfum de Nicolas Mimosique and recalibrate his notion of what this is supposed to be. Tanya Sanchez. Fashion Avenue by Bond No. 9, a 2-star mimosa shampoo. A green, fresh mimosa. I'm always sure that some passionate botanist will phone me up on the subject of one of these skeletal florals one day and how, you moron, it's obviously linden, and my career will end, or something like that. Pleasant, with a clean musk dried out, but curiously functional for the price. Tiny Sanchez. Oh, oh my God, guys. Ooh, wow. Okay, guys. Rocha Femme. What did Locaterin give Rocha Femme? Any takers up on an answer? What's it gonna be? Locaterin gave Rocha Femme. So we have a 4 and a 5. Well, Dushan, we're talking about the modern formulation, and I have to make it clear, Fosco, we're talking about the modern formulation. So, set your expectations accordingly and answer again. What did Locaterin give Rocha Femme modern version? Still 4, respectable answer. Dushan, do you change your answer if I'm saying the modern version? Well, either 2. Yeah, wow, yeah, I can see his appreciation for modern reformulations. The answer is actually somewhere in the middle. He gave it 3 stars, calling it a woody floral. Some deep principles seems to be at work here. See his review of Arpège. When you cheapen the formula of a big classic feminine, it morphs into a masculine. This suggests that 1. Boys' fragrances have always been cheap stuff, and 2. Girls have expensive tastes. Either way, Femme, now a shadow of its former self, has grown a mustache and might as well be called Homme. That said, nice woody floral with lactonic notes. Look at Turin. Next up, Ferre by Gianfranco Ferre. Do you guys want to guess on this one, or should I just tell you how many stars he gave Ferre by Gianfranco Ferre? I mean, I guess I'll just read it out. He gave it. Thinking that it's, let's see, for women. It's for women. So yeah, it's for women because he describes this as an aldehydic floral fragrance. Again, 5 and maybe 4. Actually, Duchamp was right. He gave it 4 stars. 5 years after doing Iris Poudre for Frederic Malle, Pierre Bourdon polished the idea for Ferre. Slightly more vegetal than the Malle fragrance, Ferre is nevertheless a close match. Powdery, woody sweet in a violet way, and slightly too bright, like overexposed flash photographs. Tanya Sanchez. Next up, Le Faux d'Issey by Issey Miyake, giving it 5 stars, calling it a milky rose. That's right, he's giving it 5 stars. The surprise effect of Le Faux d'Issey is total. Smelling it is like pressing the play button on a frantic video clip of unconnected objects that fly past one's nose at warp speed. Fresh baguette, lime peel, clean wet linen, shower soap, Jesus, hot stone, salty skin, even a fleeting touch of vitamin B pills, and no doubt a few other UFOs that this reviewer failed to catch the few first times. Whoever did this has the rarest qualities in perfumery, a sense of humor. Bravo to those who did not recoil in horror at something so original and agreed to bottle and sell it. But shame also, since they lost their nerve and discontinued it before it caught on. Whether you wear it or not, if you can find it, it should be in your collection as a reminder that perfume is, among other things, the most portable form of intelligence. Look at Turin. Next up, Feuilles du Tabac by Miller Harris, a 3-star, sorry, let me get this out of the way, leaf brown fragrance. A warm, woody fragrance in the manner of the first Aramis, only more natural. The dry note is a bit screechy, and the balance between sweetness and sibilant woody ambers is a touch precarious. Look at Turin. Next up, Fever by the British brand Lush, giving it 3 stars and calling it a rose jasmine. Once the powerful odor of cocoa butter subsides, since for some reason Lush has chosen a carrier oil for its perfume solids that make it difficult to discern the actual fragrance, Fever turns into a perfectly nice, old-fashioned, powdery floral of rose and jasmine. A little boring perhaps, but certainly okay for virginal types who keep lace-trimmed diaries. Tanya Sanchez. Next up, Figue Amer by Miller Harris, a 2-star bitter green fragrance. No holds barred, galbanum isoquinolines accord, as green bitter as it gets, of nostalgic interest to the afición insofar as it replicates nicely the first 5 minutes of the original Vent Vert, except that after that nothing much happens. Look at her in. Next up, Fiori di Capri by Carthusia, or Cartusia, I'm not sure. A 3-star indolic carnation. Notable mostly for a massive dose of indole that will make you wonder if you stepped in something. Fiori di Capri is a well-crafted Zaftig, but not very interesting, sweet and floral, heavy, and a little too simple for my taste. Tanya Sanchez. Next up, Fire Island by Bond Number 9, a 4-star airy jasmine. Laurie Strom, the feisty, savvy businesswoman behind upstart niche firm Bond Number 9, asked the perfumer Michel Almarat to give her the scent of the old Ombre Solaire suntan lotion, the reference nostalgic smell of French beaches, so she could then hawk it in association with beaches in her adopted home of New York. I, myself, an American born and bred, have no memories of French beaches, yet nevertheless, I find this expansive, simple smell ideally beachy. Crisp salt spray, creamy white florals, no complications, mere happiness. Tanya Sanchez. Or Tina, I'm not sure yet. Next up, First by Van Cleef and Arpels. Or Arpel, I'm not sure. It's a German brand, I think. 4-star aldehydic animalic. Before Jean-Claude Elena caught a severe case of minimalism and never recovered, he engineered full-figured French floral in the most Baroque high style, is here in First from 1976. It's essentially a dark variation on joy, and therefore less joyful. In contrast to Eleanor's later style of doing everything with less, this is everything done with more. More aldehydes, more patchouli, more animalic notes, including the barnyard phenolic smells of narcissus and castoreum, extending deep into the quality dry now. It smells rich and humorless, an ideal perfume for intimidation. Tanya Sanchez. First Love by Van Cleef and Arpels, a 3-star floral oriental. This flanker to Van Cleef and Arpels' excellent First is initially a study in dissonance, proposing to pair a sharp aldehydic floral with a powdery vanilla amber oriental. The two halves feel at first like two unrelated perfumes layered together. Slowly, they drift into a nicely dry, nutty middle space colored with the diffuse pink light of milky, fruity lactones, where everything managed to smell good in a soothingly old-fashioned way, but less interesting than you might have expected. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur by Floris, a 2-star fruity peony. Why does a venerable 270-year-old perfumery need a standard issue modern loud citrus peony? Trashy and brash in the usual way. Tanya Sanchez. Une fleur de cassis by Frédéric Malle, a 4-star symphonic floral. Another Dominique Ropion masterwork, this is perfumery at its most symphonic, an accord so rich, shimmering, and complex that I defy anyone to come to a firm conclusion on it in less than a week. This fragrance makes most other stuff look amateurish. The top and heart notes constantly shift between floral, spicy, smoky, herbaceous thyme, and powdery almond, in a manner reminiscent of the chord modulation in Richard Strauss's tone poems, an endless dance of seamless color changes. A perfume like this is not merely the result of a good idea. It is meticulously worked out like a clock, every wheel clicking in precisely into place to give the right effect at the right time, and all the machinery hidden from view beneath an unruffled, serene face. Look at Turin. Fleur de Narcisse 2006, L'Artisan Parfumeur, a 3-star hay farm. Interesting. Last time I looked, Laboratoire Monique Remy in Grasse had cornered the world's Narcissus market and produced a fabulously expensive absolute collected from wildflowers in France's massif central mountains. This smells very much like it, a curious, rich, farm-like smell of hay mixed with fresh floral and animalic notes. Interestingly, the European Union labels bears a long list of materials, not all of which appear to be contained in Narcissus Absolute. So this is clearly a composition. It doesn't last very long on the skin and is interesting more as a fleshed out wonder of nature than as a proper fragrance. Could be used as a warm, vastly overpriced tobacco-like masculine. Locutorin. A Fleur du Pot by Keiko Mecheri, a 3-star leather oriental. An old-fashioned leather like tabac blanc or cuir de Russie, but without the plush or the excitement. In other words, a dry birch tart with a balsamic backdrop, but nice, but not as good as a modern leather as Lancome's reconstructed cuir. Tanya Sanchez. Oh my god, so many goddamn fucking fleurs. Who would have fucking thought? Jesus. Fleurs des rocailles. Des rocailles. Des rocailles. Because it's Marseille. Rocaille. By Caron. A 2-star. You know, I wouldn't even mind smelling the modern eau de parfum. Because I've heard Chanel does okay with reformulations. Like, any of the modern ones. I just want to smell the exclusive line other than Gardenia, which the modern one my mom has bought for herself in Dubai. But other than that, I have not smelled any of them. Any of the Les Exclusives. Any of them. None. That's it. Okay. For incomprehensible reasons, Caron has a fragrance named Fleur de Rocaille. The Rocaille. Named after, and one, called Fleur de Rocaille, and another one called Fleur de Rocaille. Which are pronounced exactly the same. So Fleur de Rocaille and Fleur de Rocaille, which are pronounced exactly the same. The singular fleur is electronic peony, if you can imagine, like the old fleur, but without the freshness of a synthetic lily of the valley materials and a thinner patchouli wood base. Not all that pleasant. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur de thé rose bulgare. Or is it Bulgar? Probably it's Bulgar. By Creed. A 3-star bright rose. Unquestionably smells like expensive rose extracts, i.e. not at all like live roses. More wine and liquor-like. Less complicated, but of vastly higher quality than most contemporary synthetic roses, with a nice woody dry down. A perfectly good alternative to legions of modern air-headed florals. Locutorin. There it is. The dreaded Fleur d'Oranger 27 by Lilabo. 1-star Cologne ripoff. A boring Cologne at $50 for 15 milliliters, which according to my calculation is $1 per squirt. The French are known for their wry humor. Look at Turin. Fleur du Mal by Jean-Paul Gaultier, a 3-star powdery fougère. This cheerfully clean, powdery masculine smells of Irish spring soap, baby bum, and shaving cream, A scent so evocative of bathroom rituals, you can nearly see the white tile and the steamed mirror. It feels like parody, but it sort of works. As with the original Le Mal, this nude male torso bottle seems intended to limit its use to solely the very gay or imperturbably straight. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur du Matin by Miller Harris, a 3-star garden floral. Pleasant, natural-smelling floral beginning with a refreshing but fleeting galbanum top note like an homage to Vin Vert, followed by a moment of citrus as if it intends to become a cologne instead. Sorry, a cologne instead. Sorry, as if it intends to become a cologne. Instead, it ends up as a soft bouquet in the unfussy but unexciting English style. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur Orientale by Miller Harris, a 3-star Joss stick. As in most Miller Harris products, more cod French, this time with a spelling mistake. Probably no E at the end. A nice, powdery oriental in the mini Shalimar manner, though a bit thin in the dry down. Look at Turin. Florissimo by Creed, a 3-star floral bouquet. A big floral aldehydic bouquet, a joyless joy. Get the real thing, it costs the same and smells better. And you won't have to stare at Creed's hideous packaging. Look at Turin. Oh, like a real bouquet of flowers. Okay. Fleur de Bulgarie. Fleur de Bulgarie illustrates the fact that the perfumer's job consists as much as in hiding the faults of raw materials she uses as in bringing out their strengths. While unquestionably made with quality roses, Fleur de Bulgarie seems to be a compendium of all the rose off-notes from metallic to musty that make rose oil so frustratingly hard to use. Look at Turin. And now, since there are 0 viewers, I'm off to get some water. Oops, not in this chat. In this chat. In this chat. Off to get water. Done. 0 viewers once again. Okay, I can do it. Okay. Fleur de Citronnier by Serge Luton. A 2-star failed cologne. A dry, woody soapy neroli accord that feels like an unfinished eau de cologne. Look at her in. Fleur de Nuit by Badgley Mishka. A 4-star sweet jasmine. The first time out, Bachelor Mishka unexpectedly perfected the much maligned fruity floral genre, and this time around they've warmed up the aloof crispness of the Beyond Paradise Muguet jasmine with a dash of caramelized sugar, ethyl maltol. Nothing new, but terrifically pretty. Not the bright morning of Beyond Paradise, not the glorious sunset of J'adore, and not the drama of the name's promised night, but a pleasant, golden afternoon. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur de Rocaille, getting a 3-star rating from Luca Turin and a 2-star rating from Tanya Sanchez. A carnation floral. Caron in his heyday was a curious outfit capable of producing some of the starkest, most humorous fragrances of all time, such as Royal Bon de Champagne, Narcissus Noir, and Tabac Blanc, aimed at the sort of Art Deco Amazon who wrote Pegasus to work. Mysteriously, though, it could also come up with Fleur de Rocaille and Nuit de Noël, masterly but staid affairs that bring to mind well-to-do ladies outside the church after Sunday service. All violets and all voilet, all voilets. Yeah, what's up, Anuj? Yeah, I'm trying to read, the whole thing of Look at Turin from A to Z on stream. Sometimes I'll do it independently, but I thought, what's a great way to get me to read? I'll just read it on stream, and if people want, they can join. For now, it's just you. Which thank you for coming on. Tell me if you got a scent or if you're going to have a scent today, and what your scent is going to be. See, I don't think I'm going to have enough viewers to do a scent of the night vote. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it by myself a bit later, independently. But sorry, I'll get that off. I see nothing today. I mean, yeah, okay, that's also a solution. What I wore as my scent of the day was one of the Rige samples in the latest, in the Attar collection, the History of Attar collection. The It's the one that I still have juice from, mostly because I wanted to get rid of them. Well, not in a throw them in a trash type of way, but like wear them and get to other samples type of way. The one called Malik Al Mutia, which is the resinous jasmine one. True, that could also be it. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. What are we getting in the lucky bag? Or is it the unlucky bag? Who knows? And I'll say now. I'm wearing Nahima today. Sure, I guess I'm wearing Nahima. Well, not today. Tonight, that is. We are wearing Nahima as my scent of the night. This kind of weird, foresty, slight fruity kind of thing. I don't know what to make of Nahima. It has. I mean, sure, I'll do one spray of it. Sure, let's do it. And that one spray has been sprayed. Yeah, I can. Yeah, it does project. I can see it already. Let's put it back in the bag. Yeah, let's see if what I get is. Yeah, it is very strangely textured. Like, at once I get both a sort of you know, oily, kind of dark fruit thing, which kind of seems like woman, like, you know, and there's also a weird kind of thing that I can only describe as a shadowed a shadow cast by greenery. It's like a one of those cartoon foxes. It's not like cartoon foxes, but it's like one of those anthropomorphic foxes that let's just say are drawn to look feminine, but like in the cartoon way. It's like they don't have tits, okay? They're not porn, but they're like they are drawn distinctly enough to where you're thinking, yes, this is a girl fox. Which that's the kind of thing that I get. And this fox, this female fox, that is kind of, let's say, walks on two legs. Sure, head. Take your time, man. Uh, yeah, and this fox kind of resides in this sort of, you know, safe den of abstractly green, this abstractly kind of green barrier. If I put an outfit to this, I'd say it's like a sort of like French musketeer slash French fencer. Like, you know, it's very athletic, but it's very nimble seeming to me. It's very elegant ballerina like, but it has some force to it also. But yeah, if I had to like pin one word to it, it would be abstract, because the image that I've drawn up is not something that came to me right away. I had to like, as if like pan a filter to different facets to see it. I don't. Nah. No, I don't think he'd wear that. Nah. I think what Freddy Krueger would wear. What would he wear though? Honestly, I think what he'd wear. I think he would wear modern Fahrenheit because it smells not burned, but melted, like melted rubber, and it's uncomfortable to smell to me. The modern version of Fahrenheit, the eau de toilette. It's got this kind of, uh, someone after a chemical accident smell to it. It's very, very weird to me. But yeah, I don't think of this as evil per se. It's it's not scary as much as it is strange. It's this sort of wood, this sort of like green abstract vibe with an oily dark fruit that's like, if I had to like reference one thing, it would be the texture of the oily dry down of shamad for women. That's the nuance that I kind of get in Ahima. That that kind of plays not second fiddle, but it's the right arm to the left arm of the greens in this ambidextrous composition, which just means that neither this nuance or this nuance overpower each other. They kind of combine to create this very confusing and kind of very difficult to describe perfume. These are my thoughts on it at the moment. But yeah, Nahima is just like, it's a stun lock. It's basically the damn the flash pen in Men in Black. When you smell this or when you see that, you forget everything. What the hell was I doing now? What the hell was? Who am I? It's this kind of. It has this effect on me where I lose all words. Sorry, my mom just said hello. But yeah, let's. For now, I'll just read out a. Where was I? Here. Don't mind me in news. I'm just kind of seeing where I was. All voilà, okay. Okay, there I am. I'm on Fleur de Rocailler in the part where he actually starts to describe the fragrance itself. Fleur de Rocailler is a floral carnation affair so prim and proper, it feels almost disapproving and makes you check your shirt is not spilling out of your trousers. Needless to say, it was a huge success. My landlady in Paris, when I was a student, opined that there were two perfume houses in Paris, Caron and Guerlain. Guerlain, she said, was for cocottes, or cocotte, kept women, while Caron was for duchesses. To this day, I wonder which, the reckless Orient de Guermont, or her workday successor, Madame Verdon, she had in mind. Look at her in. Next up, from it's Tanya Sanchez's blurb, Fleur de Rocailler was once the reference lactonic floral, the milky, ambery bouquet of good things in modest proportions that any polite girl would be happy to wear to an event where her manners would be judged. Based on the most recent sample, it's now simply an entirely soapy affair from start to finish, much less lactonic and converging on the sour rose Richard Fraisse loves so much. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur de Comore from Maître Parfumeur et Gantier, a 4-star jasmine vanilla. Sorry, like that? Okay. When Laport left L'Artisan Parfumeur in 1988 and founded Maître Parfumeur et Gantier, he immediately set out to replicate part of the collection he had so brilliantly devised over the preceding 12 years. Fleur de Comore is his vanilla too. Is his vanilla too, a bit greener with more of the heavenly overripe banana note of Ylang and less candy floss. But basically the same idea. It is a credit to his intelligence and hands-on approach that the press release for once, instead of serving up complete swill, tells it like it is. Evokes summer evenings and suntan skin. Precisely. Look at her in. Fleur de Sel by Miller Harris, a 4-star seaside bouquet. The sailing note in perfumery is elusive. I have come across it in a vetiver context, Virgilio, and in various marine-like oak moss notes, as well as in pure ambergris tincture. Interestingly, Lynn Harris claims that in this fragrance it is due to ambret seed musk, which in retrospect does have a weird celery-like salty feel. Whatever the origin, it works beautifully in this elegant, highly original, herbaceous marine composition. This cannot have been an easy perfume to compose. All the notes are quite distinct and singing in harmony only through clever, careful balance. Further evidence of Lynn Harris's growing skill and ambition. For further evidence of Lynn Harris's growing skill and ambition, her best perfume so far. Look at Turin. Fleur d'ombre justement lilas. Lilas. Yes. Jean-Charles Brosseau. A one-star cheap floral. A cheap and crude jasmine lilac affair, ideal for what the professionals call air care. Look at Turin. Fleur d'ombre, ombre bleue by Jean-Charles Brosseau. A two-star cheap floral. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes less is less. The Brosseau range looks discounted from day one and smells like it too. This cheap abstract floral accord smells of salicylates and synthetic wood, thereby achieving a kind of hot insulation effect reminiscent of the smell of large, valve-powered radios with a magic eye up front. If the name Lui, sorry, okay, the name Lui, Iverson, and Kalundborg mean anything to you, you're in for a bit of unintended nostalgia. Look at her. Fleur d'ombre rose by Jean-Charles Brosseau, a two-star grapefruit floral. A cheap-smelling but cheerful citrus of the style usually labeled pink grapefruit, which evolves rapidly into a repellent candied orange smell with no relation to rose. Brosseau has a much-loved dark, powdery, liquor-like rose called ombre rose, and this is 180 degrees from that. Fleur d'ombre violet menthe by Jean-Charles Brosseau, scented glue, 2 stars. I thought this would smell like those square Cowards violet mints that come in grape purple foil and taste perversely inedible. I love those. Instead, it smells like fruity scented glue, or that intense Kelly green liquid soap you find only in public washrooms. Tanya Sanchez. Fleur d'Oranger by Serge Luton, a 3-star medicinal jasmine. Luton chose to intensify the medicinal and indolic smells of orange blossom above all else, reminding me of the black treacly loquat syrup my mother used to give me when I coughed. A touch of savory, sweaty cumin makes the whole thing seem smothering and unsettling, like the exhalation of a poorly ventilated alleyway in some unidentified Southeast Asian city. On skin, yo, what's up, Fosco? I'm currently reading the Fleur d'Oranger by Serge Luton review of Tanya Sanchez. She gave it 3 stars, called it a medicinal amber. Due to, a lack of viewers, which, I don't really, cry about it. It's just, who am I to, I'm not Chanel, like the Liz Moore thing, get it? But, who am I, bro? I'm not Ramsey, I'm not Rich Mitch. I don't expect fucking 20 viewers consistently. Who the fuck am I? I'm Dev. But, thank you for being here, Fosco. It's quality, not quantity. So, yeah, my scent of the night has been not decided so much as forced upon me by pure chance. It's Nahima. I did 1 spray of it. My thoughts on it are somewhere in the video. I might... no, I don't think I'll clip it out. But, if you like it, go ahead and search it. If you really want me to do it, to like clip it, just put it in the comments of the VOD, like that you can't find it yourself. And I might share a clip of it, instead, like a bit later, like as a short or something. So yeah, that's that. And for now, I'm just going to continue reading Luca Turin's The Perfume Guide with Tanya Sanchez. And this is Tanya Sanchez, the last line of Fleur d'Oranger. On skin, it eventually settles for a light jasmine dry down. Next up, Florabella by Lalique, a 4-star milky metallic fragrance. You could easily overlook the sleepy little greenish violet floral on a bed of pretty fabric softener type musks. Except for a few notable features. A dreamy, dense, milky note, which reminds me of a Filipino dessert of sweetened condensed milk poured over rice. The sharp metallic sheen of Helianol, which Luca Turin has described elsewhere as smelling like a sucked spoon, and a surprising long-distance radiance without force, which seems to be Bertrand Duchefou's stock in trade even when working in a mild-mannered, no-surprises style such as this. Silver, chilled cream, and a far-reaching transparent glow. It should have been called Luna Piena instead. No idea what that means, but if you want that, go ahead and say that, Tanya Sanchez. Who am I to argue? Next up, we got Fleury by Antonia's Flowers, a 2-star sweet floral. Antonia's Flowers' first 2 fragrances, the eponymous Antonia's Flowers and this one, are based on living flower technology, the name used by fragrance company IFF for sampling the air around a flower, analyzing the hell out of it, and then trying to recreate the mix that will give the same air around a person. This one is a reconstitution of sweet pea, and it feels like sweet pea after a nasty accident, followed by reconstructive surgery. What woman is camp enough to want to smell sweet peas anyway? Look at her in. Next up, Florissa by Floris, a 3-star aldehydic floral. A competent aldehydic floral with a mock orange note. Dull, but pleasant. Look at her in. Next up, Flower by Kenzo, a melon woody fragrance given 4 stars. As George Santayana told us before we forgot who he was, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Yet sadly, of all arts, perfume is the most amnesiac, not because its history is unworthy of note, but because it's impossible to transmit. It doesn't photocopy well, or burn to CD, and you can't hum or quote it. While most young painters have seen at least poster prints in the mall of Michelangelo's Adam, most young perfumers have probably never smelled the original Emerald. Of course, Alberto Morillas almost certainly knew Caron's Royal Bon de Champagne by heart when he replicated it and added a splash of Hedion to make flower. But it seems nobody else knew, at least of all me, until one day, Luca Turin pointed out what it was, and I gave a good, solid smack to my forehead. Royal Bon de Champagne, a debonair, sweet, powdery wood, and with giddy flourishes of melon, muguet, and heliotrope, had suavity and humor like a tap dance in a tux. The perfume equivalent of a Gershwin tune, fascinating rhythm, would do. We are forgiven for not realizing Flower was a remake. However, since Royal Bound de Caron, the champagne brand police, objected to the original name, hasn't smelled like itself in a while, in effect, like those bronze Roman copies of ancient Greek sculptures, Flower manages to preserve a classic on the sly long after the original was melted for scrap. Tanya Sanchez. Next up, Flowerbound by Victor Renolf, 1-star sugary floral, to the surprise of no one. Post Angel Sweet Tooth Fantasia that smells like a shop where you buy gummies by the pound. Someone will object, but it's rosy. True. Tanya Sanchez. Flower Le Parfum by Kenzo. A 3-star coffee vanilla. Masquerading as simply a parfum extract version of the original flower, Le Soi-disant Parfum is an entirely new fragrance, keeping the intensely powdery, woody heliotrope section of the original, but swapping out all of its beautiful coral pink fruity florals for a dose of coffee and more vanilla. Now twice as heavy and mistakenly serious, it's handsome, but a little bit like a Jim Carrey film recast with James Earl Jones. That's a funny image. Tanya Sanchez. Flower Oriental. Kenzo. A 3-star patchouli Oriental. Remember when I don't get, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything, pretend like I didn't say anything. Much like Hermes Eau de Merveille, Flower Oriental is a strange modern creature, a heavy, old-fashioned woody Oriental given amplified radiance via the unexpected floral freshness of Hedione and the transparent herbal woody fuzz of ISO E Super. This sheer cloud of modern effects fails to mask the bombast out of the main event. One hell of a patchouli amber, to make even hardened head shop hippies feel overwhelmed. Tanya Sanchez. Let's do like this on the next page. I'm gonna end it. Through no fault of you guys. It's just kind of a slow day. And I kind of want to do other stuff. So I'll just finish this on the next page. And then I'll end the stream. Sorry for that. Sorry for a relatively short stream. The VOD will be available, of course. Do like the stream if you haven't. I'm sorry for doing the shill thing. There's a Ko-Fi link that I pinned. You don't have to do anything for that, but if you think my words are, interesting, you can do that. I'm not forcing you. Okay? I'm not begging. You don't have to, okay? I'm going to live just fine without this. But it's there if you want to. Next up, Folavrie by Annick Goutal, a 3-star citrus fruity fragrance. Interesting how a largely natural composition can smell so much like fabric softener. Might make a cheerful masculine. Tanya Sanchez. Une folie de rose, a parfum de rosant, or de rosy? Let's go with de rosy. Sure. A 3-star aldehydic chypre. The madness of this rose begins with aldehydes, like a big-boned, awkward cousin to Chantarome. Or is it Chantarome? Whatever, man. Chantarome. But grows up unexpectedly into the leather patchouli oak moss of Miss Balmain. Tanya Sanchez. Forever Elizabeth by Elizabeth Taylor. A 1-star stale wreath fragrance. A name that sounds like a conclusion to a funeral eulogy applied to a chemical floral so thin and spare it may soon get one. Look at your in. What the fuck is this name? In parentheses, for you, / Parfum Trouvé by Miller et Berthoud, a 3-star fruitcake cedar. What could the name mean? Parfum Trouvé means found perfume, which makes sense since this is a lighter version of Féminité du Bois with less depth and persistence. The for you leads me to believe that somebody's beloved was wild about Féminité du Bois, but couldn't find it because of Shiseido's incomprehensibly limited distribution. Tanya Sanchez. Faux d'Absent by L'Artisan Parfumeur, a 2-star wood boring. Absinthe wormwood became all the rage a few years back because a sanitized form of the liquor was made legal again after a 75-year ban in France. whereupon it quickly turned out to be neither more nor less harmful or interesting than its anisic substitute pastis. Swig of water. Fougère Bengal. Sorry, no, I'm not there yet. Where am I? There. This fashion eventually percolated to perfume, where wormwood had been dormant for decades. It has a resinous smell of only scant interest, and feu d'absinthe, despite its skillful composition, fails to rise to more than a herbaceous woody gimiche, a sort of cheerful Paco Rabanne pour homme. A sort of cheerful Paco Rabanne pour homme. Let us move on to the unfairly neglected hops absolute, with its vegetarian, animalic note, etc., etc., etc. Look at it. Fougère Bengal by Parfum d'Empire gets a 4-star review. Spice lavender. If this is a fougère, my local Indian restaurant is a florist. This is an intense, saturated reinterpretation of the lavender curry helichrysum accord of Eau Noire, delicious from a distance and a little loud up close. But overall, very pleasant. Look at her. And we're going to end this with a very, very interesting and kind of good note, I guess. We're going to end this with the review of Fracas by Robert Piguet. 5 stars. Butter tuberose. A friend once explained to me how Ferrari achieved that gorgeous red. First paint the car silver, then 6 coats of red, then a coat of transparent pink varnish. Germain Cellier would have approved. Her masterpiece, Fracas, after going through a threadbare patch in the 80s, was revived by a US outfit and spruced up to a quality approximating the original as far as possible, with the usual silly caveats of disappeared bases. See Bandi, his review. To my nose, what makes Fracas great is a wonderful buttery note up top, which I attribute to chamomile, and a nice bread-like iris touch in the dry down. Pink, pink, pink. When you say a word so much, it loses any meaning, and you have lost the muscle memory in your mouth to utter it and remember that that's the correct way. Anyway, pink and silver with tuberose red in between. Look up Turin. That does it with the review of Fracas. And for this session of reading the perfume guide as done by a Zoomer, thank you to everyone who watched. Lick the stream if you're into that. That's it. Fragrance Trooper marches out. Boop, 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 boop.